welcome back to Lucy's Library Reads. My name is Lucy if you're new here, and today we're going to be going through the books that I read in the month of June. Alright, so the first book that I read in the month of June was Strangers by Belle Burden. She wrote this book to tell the story about her marriage and the ultimate end of her marriage, which happened during COVID. And this memoir reads like a fiction novel. It's so well told that it reads like a story. You could get through it really quickly. We read this for my gym girlies book club, and it was heavy. I won't lie to you. It was a heavy read, but it was a good memoir. I took a lot away from it. I think that Belle tells a really strong story that doesn't lead the reader down a particular path. She just tells her story. And yes, that story is laced with privilege, where she is rich and she is a white woman, and her experience is very unique in the sense of not everyone's going to have the same benefits or the ability to leave her husband or have her husband leave her and still be able to function like normal, and that's fair. She acknowledges that in the book, in my opinion, fairly well, in the sense of she acknowledges the fact of, like, this isn't the worst thing that's ever happened to somebody in the world, but this is something bad that happened to me, and it hurt and it caused a lot of pain, and she didn't know what to do. And she acknowledges that throughout the book several times, of saying, I wouldn't have gotten, like, she knows that other people don't have the same experiences she has. That doesn't mean that her story is not worth telling. So when I read this book, I thought she did a great job of not making it explicit that we should hate her husband. She tells the story about her and her husband getting together, their life, how they break up, her life afterward, directly afterward, and then kind of like her extended life, and how she came to even write this book. She does this through multiple timelines, and the way that she places the story, you're getting the information exactly when you want it. You start to have questions, and then she provides the context to answer the question for you. This book not only highlights the fact of marriage and the struggles that marriages can have, and then losing your identity once you are divorced or having someone leave you, but it also talks about how we as a society, or like we as friends, interact with people when they are having something fairly tragic happen to them. And that's what I took away most from this book, is how I show up as a friend or as a community member, and how I can make people feel like they are safe with me and that they are valid. And there is one quote that once I read it, I was very like, I need to have this tattooed upon my body somewhere. I'm not going to, but I want to remember it for a very long time. But I have never thought about this before, how a close-ended response, no matter how well-intentioned, can feel like an ending, the declining of an invitation to engage. And she says this in reference to some of her friends just texting her, being like, I'll be thinking of you, or sending love to you and the kids, and how it felt very distant, and it felt as though she couldn't reach out to them because they were not wanting to connect with her in a real way. And when I read that, I was like, gosh, I do that. I do what I feel like I need to do to make myself feel better, instead of thinking about what that person may need. And sometimes that is just reaching out and saying, like, I'm here if you need something. But it's, I think, making that like extra effort to like not worry if they think that you're being cringy or weird. It's like, how can I connect with this person in a meaningful way? And so I really liked that aspect of the book, of how people showed up for her and what she liked and what she didn't like, and how it was like received by her. But overall, I think she did a great job of just telling the story, of letting us come to our own conclusion as the reader of what her role was, what his role was, and how things transpired after he had left. And I came to the conclusion that he is kind of a piece of shit, because he just left his family. He left his children, and I don't quite understand how somebody can do that. But that is not something that she put into my head. That is what I came to the conclusion of myself. And I really enjoyed how she wrote this. I really enjoyed what I was able to take away from this. And I think that her story lays a great groundwork for all people, all partners in relationships should understand their financial situation well enough to know where money is and if they are protected in case something would happen. And she wasn't. She didn't know where their money was. She didn't know how much money her husband made, and it made her feel very blindsided once he did leave, and having the divorce shake out in the way of their prenup being a specific wording. It was a lot. And I think by her sharing that aspect of her story, that allows other people in relationships the ability to self-reflect and say, do I know what is going on? And will I be okay if something does happen? Because she was, and she was always going to be, because she is privileged and she was wealthy prior to her marriage, and she does acknowledge that. But she wrote the book with the intention of saying, I know not everybody is going to be okay if this would happen to them, and she wants people to think about it. So I gave this book 4.5 stars. I thought that it was a really strong read. I read it really quickly. It was a great discussion book for my book club. I highly recommend it. The girls who listened to it on audio said that it was very well done as well. So then, hot off of Strangers, I read a book for my other book club, which is just kind of like some friends that we get together every month and get dinner and talk about a book. And that was the Bromance Book Club. So it is a romance book, but it is a very specific kind of romance book. So the book follows a professional baseball player named Gavin, who is in the, kind of like the throes of a potential breakup with his wife. And his wife isn't very likable. I'm not gonna lie to you. She seems kind of uptight, but the more you get to know her, the more you're like, oh, this is really realistic. Like, this is probably how some people could view me in my marriage. Of like, she's no fun, she is a killjoy, blah, blah, blah. And I really liked this book because it was more of like from the male POV, and I don't really read a lot of books that are male-centered in that way. I also realized the other day that I don't read a lot of male authors, but Lissa is not a male author. She is a woman, which is fine, but she wrote a great book. The book is the premise of Gavin is struggling in his marriage, and so his friends on the baseball team want to help him. And so they have this secret club, which they call the Bromance Book Club, where they're bros and they're reading romance books to try to better their own real life relationships, because they're like, I don't know why we're making this so hard. We have manuals as to what women want right here. And I think that's a really cool premise. I think that I loved this book because it was like, oh, men trying to be emotionally available and men helping other men better themselves in a vulnerable and open and intimate way that I just don't feel like a lot of books, romance or otherwise, get into from a male POV. There is a book within a book in here, so you're reading like the romance book along with Gavin as he's reading it, and I was really kind of nervous about that because I don't care for those premises, but it wasn't bad. It was really quick and easy, and honestly it was like a good little side quest book to read. It is such a realistic book in the sense of like, even when he's trying to win back his wife and like show that he has changed, there's a scene where like he's trying to help the twins that they have who get sick, like help them like take a bath and like get to bed, and he's like, where are the towels? And she's like, they have been in the same closet for the last 5 years that we've lived in this house. Go get them. I liked how realistic this book was. I liked how the wife wasn't fully just ready to take him back the second he tried to do something good. She really wanted him to earn her love and respect again, and I think that is something that's very admirable. After reading Strangers and then reading the Bromance Book Club, I was like, this was actually a really nice pairing, because Strangers was from the female POV, from Belle's POV of her life, And while that was real, and this is not real, I liked having the male POV of how he was trying to get his relationship back on track. It seemed like a really nice pairing, actually. And this book was kind of like just like a popcorn book where I read it really quick. It was really enjoyable. I laughed out loud at a lot of parts, so it's pretty modern, but not too like trendy, so it doesn't have like pop culture references necessarily. It's just like full sarcasm, and I really like that. I gave this book 4 stars. It's not like a literary masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination, but it gave me exactly what I wanted when I wanted it, and it was very good doing what it set out to do. So I would very much recommend reading this. Oh, there's not that much spice in it either. I think there was like 1 or 2 scenes, but they're married, and it's very realistic in how those scenes play out. It's very much like they're married, and so you know that married couples have sex type of situation. So if you're not into spice, I still would highly recommend this book. It's very, very good. Third book that I read in the month of June was an arc called Every Last Bone, which, one, I don't like the title for it. I think that this book is really, really great. I think it needs a different title because it doesn't really make sense. And neither here nor there. You're following 2 sisters. It starts out with one named Clementine, and you can tell like right off the bat that something's off with Clementine. She's a scam artist, is like her job. So she goes online into different forums or into like GoFundMe's, and she makes up these stories to get people to donate money to her. You open the book with her actually conning people into saying that she's gonna like donate her kidney to them on the black market, so then they pay her hundreds of thousands of dollars for said kidney, which she never gives. She really thinks she's doing good. Like, you can tell that in her mind she has told herself she is doing a good thing for people. She's giving them hope. That really is what it comes back to a lot for her. Anyway, so you figure out fairly quickly that she is a narcissist, potentially a sociopath. So it's also following her sister Victoria, and they had a 3rd sister who died a few years ago. And there is this tension between Clem and Victoria because Victoria actually accused Clem of killing their sister. Victoria has a disability, and I've never really seen a disability represented in horror quite this way. I thought it was really interesting and refreshing to like have a character that has like depth and some natural adversity in their life. But so she has this disability, and their sister had the same disability, so they have to take a lot of medication and basically like aren't super mobile all the time. Victoria thinks that Clem killed their sister. For why that is comes out as the book goes on. But basically Victoria then tells Clem that she's being stalked by somebody. An AI generated image was created and sent around to the university where she works, and like all of these things are happening to Victoria, and Clem is like, what the fuck? Like, I'm going to defend my sister, like this is not okay. But also I don't like that Victoria is getting this attention. I need it to be on me, because Clem is clearly a narcissist, and so you see how everything that happens in other people's lives, Clem has to bring back to her. I thought that this book was done in a very cool way to like how narcissism can play out, and I am very interested in psychology, and so I thought that this was a really well done representation of that. Throughout the book there's more drama that happens, and I was getting kind of bored of it, and then all of a sudden it switches to Victoria's POV, and you're like, okay, now we're back. And you're getting her internal monologue, and you're starting to understand why she's doing certain things and where her actual feelings are coming from. So this whole story plays out, and it's very twisty-turny, and who's doing what, and what's the intention, and then at the end there's like this big sister blow-up situation, and it was like kind of silly in the grand scheme, because you're like, this would never happen, but it also could happen. I don't know. It like really teetered on the line of like, is this realistic or is this not realistic? But it's also a fiction book, and so I guess it doesn't have to make sense or doesn't have to be realistic because it's fiction. Anyway, I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. It was a very unique premise to me, and I really hope that it does get picked up and like people really enjoy it, because I thought it was a really strong read. I gave it 4 stars. I don't like the title. I think that it could do with a title change to be more enticing to what the book actually is. I read Body of Evidence by Patricia Cornwell in the month of June as well. This is the second book in the Case Caparda crime series. So it's about Dr. Case Caparda. She is a medical examiner on the East Coast, and it's a crime procedural. I think this series is becoming a TV show right now. I started reading the series before it was becoming a TV show. And like, it's good. I mean, it's a crime procedural. Like, you're gonna get exactly what you're expecting out of this, where you're following the medical examiner in the police department and they're solving crime. The crimes vary a lot. There are a lot of components to the crimes to keep it interesting. And that being said, I think there's too many. I think there was too many like twists and turns and trying to connect people and situations to things that didn't really need to be there. It could have been done in a much quicker, simpler way. And it just felt like too much. This book in particular goes through a woman is murdered. She is a writer. And her manuscript is missing because it's this huge tell-all piece about an abusive mentor that she had, who was also an author, and the publisher or like his agent is trying to like get the manuscript because they don't want it to be released. Basically, it's all the drama that you would expect out of a book like that. Even now, I mean, the books I think were written in like the 90s. Yeah, they were written in the early 90s. It's just so funny that they're like smoking on planes, and things are very different from 2026. I mean, one of the police officers that Dr. Case Caparda works with is obviously very like homophobic, and there's some comments in here, and like he's blatantly racist about a lot of stuff. And so I don't think that is something that would go over super great today. But I mean, it was written in the 90s. It is what happened. And so, I mean, I liked it. I think I gave it 3 stars. I'm not like fighting to get to the 3rd book, but I mean, it was good. If I ever want something that's predictable, overall, it was fine. I don't know if I'll continue it. I kind of got over the crime procedural aspect of it pretty quickly, but oh well. I was in a bit of a reading slump near the end of the month, just because I'm also currently reading Lonesome Dove, which I'll talk about in a minute. And I was just like, I just need something that is gonna grip me and be entertaining and make me want to not put this book down. And so I was like, I'm just gonna read a John Marrs book because he's a great thriller author and I need something entertaining. And so I picked up The Family Experiment, which I've had on my bookshelf for a while. And this book is actually the 5th book in his Dark World series. And holy crap, this was so good. So the series itself is set in near future dystopian-esque like worlds, but it's very like rooted in our current society. I hadn't read any of those other books. I just started with The Family Experiment, so that's the 5th and last book in the series. And you don't have to read the first 4. I would recommend it because they're going to be really good, but you don't have to. He explains enough of the situation you get the context as you read the book, so you don't have to have read the other 4. So The Family Experiment is about a game show or like reality TV show where couples have applied because it's so expensive to have children in this future that people just stop having kids. And so a company creates the ability to have meta children, so like AI kids that live in the metaverse. And it seems a little too realistic for comfort. You follow these couples and one single guy who's on the reality TV show to see how they interact with these meta children and like their lives and how they got to this point. And then you see like how the public is interacting with the reality TV show, because like they get to vote on who they like and who stays and who has challenges and all of these things. It's a condensed time period, so they get like a newborn and then at month 1 the kid turns to be like a 3-year-old, and then at month 2 the kid becomes like a 6-year-old. Like they have different like developmental stages that they have to go through, and all of this happens over the course of like 9 months in real life, but the kid becomes 18 at 9 months. Anyway, so the parents go onto the show because at the end of it, if they win, they can either keep their meta child in the metaverse, or they will get the money to start their own real family, whether that be with like IVF, adoption, surrogacy. It was a wild premise. The book was so good. I read it really quickly because I was just like, I have got to understand what the heck is going on. And throughout the book, you're getting these like tidbits as to like how the society got to the point that they're at, and it is concerning. There's a lot to unpack. I liked the book because it was written in, I don't want to say like interview style. It was just like different POVs, or like you follow the different families for each chapter. I'll tell you that I did get concerned that eventually we will have advertisements in books because capitalism. So that was a slightly concerning aspect of it. I don't know if that will actually happen or not, but it was a little bit of a like, oh, this could probably happen in the future type of situation. Anyway, I think I gave us 4.5 stars. It is really, really good. I think I would have appreciated it more had I read the rest of the series, but reading this, I'm like, I have got to go back and read all of the other ones leading up to this book, because he just writes it's like Black Mirror. He just writes this like dystopian near future so well. It does kind of mess with your mind a little bit as to like, what are we as society supporting when we are supporting these reality TV shows, but then also what are we risking? Like, who are we harming by doing certain aspects, or like having certain beliefs of, is it our meta children real children? Are AI kids real kids? Should they just be turned off at some point? Like, can you kill them? Like, all of those things. And so I would recommend this if you love dystopian and really gripping thrillers. He writes it really, really well. So I'm also currently reading Lonesome Dove, because that is the book that I'm reading with my partner, and that book is really, 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 really long. It's like almost 900 pages. I'm not a huge chonky book reader. I also am just getting kind of bored of it. Like, it's a really, really great book. Don't get me wrong. It's written really well. The story is like told very beautifully. It's a Western, and it's just some guys being dudes. I don't know. I really am waiting for it to like grip me a little bit more. I'm about 25% of the way through, and so I'll keep reading it. I read it on my Kindle because the book is literally like this thick, and I just don't want to hold that around. But I'm reading it on my Kindle, and then I'll listen to it on audiobook sometimes. And I mean, again, it's a fine book. I just am not trying to like tear through it, because it's like, I have to know what happens. They're on a cattle drive to Montana, and that seems to be kind of just like the entire premise of the book. I will say I have laughed out loud at numerous points in it because it is quite funny. So again, it's not like it's a bad book. I'm just not like super in it. And so I hopefully will get more into it, and at the end of July I can tell you my actual review of it. But so far it's like good. It's just really, really long. So thank you so much for tuning in to my June wrap up of books that I've read this month. I'm currently reading Mad Honey by Jodi Picoult and Jennifer Finney Boylan. A new booktuber that I started following, What Michaela Reads, is she loves this book and recommended it like very aggressively, and she spoke so highly of it that I was like, I need to read it just to like see what is happening. And I'm about almost 200 pages into it, and it is really good. I really am enjoying it. It's definitely more like older Jodi Picoult books, like the way that it's written and like the flow of it. And so I've really been enjoying it. I can't wait for the twist because I'm trying to predict it, and I know that I won't be able to because it's Jodi Picoult. But yeah, it's been really good. It's about a mom who's beekeeper, and she leaves an abusive relationship, and then her son is accused of murdering his girlfriend. And it's playing out like that whole situation of what actually happened, and it's bouncing between the POVs of Olivia, the mom, and then Lily, the girl who was murdered or died, allegedly murdered. And it's been really good. So I will keep you posted on this in the July review, but that's what I'm currently reading, and I am looking forward to telling you other books that I'm excited for this month. But anywho, have a great rest of your week, and happy 4th!